Okay, I'm continuing where I left off after a simple equation. So this is an example of a very simple equation where I start by counting on the left and I count on the right. Remember, the rule is you can only change the coefficients. You're never allowed to change or add subscripts. So you can only put numbers in front. When you put a number in the beginning or the front of a compound or an element, it's going to multiply by the subscript on that element. For example, there are 4 aluminums here. Here there are 6 oxygens. I'm having to multiply these two numbers. Okay? So let's look at a harder equation that has polyions in it. Now, first and foremost, when you have polyions that exist in your equation, you know it's a polyion because it's in parentheses, or you've just began to recognize them by sight just from practice and learning them and writing names and formulas. So here I have nitrate on both sides, and here I have hydroxide on both sides. Keep in mind, your polyion has to be the same on both sides, meaning here I have OH together as hydroxide, okay? But on the right side, sometimes hydroxide gets switched around and turns into water. So if that happens and your hydroxides don't look the same on both sides of the arrow, then you must separate the oxygen and the hydrogen and count them separately. But since nitrate shows up on both sides, I can count him as a single unit. So what I'm looking for is a number outside of the parentheses. For example, right here, I have 3 nitrates. Okay? Here, I only have 1 nitrate. So I'm just going to kind of pretend, if I put imaginary parentheses there, I'm looking for a number outside of the parentheses to tell me how many I have. Okay? So from left to right, you could list this all out, you could count it all out, but I'm going to show you a shortcut. I'm going to show you the shortcut that I use, okay? I basically worked from left to right in an equation, just making sure from the left side to the right side that my atom count is the same. And I just kind of change the coefficients as I go. Generally, I use a pencil, right, so that it's not a crime scene, and then I can go back and erase and change again. But when you get ready to balance, there's a rule about equations with polyions. The number 1 rule, to make it super easy on you, is to balance the polyion first. First and foremost, you don't want to deal with oxygen, you don't want to deal with hydrogen, you don't want to deal with separate elements or individual elements. You want to balance the polyions on both sides of your equations, on the both sides of your arrow, and then everything just kind of falls into place and it's easier to figure out and pretty quickly. So I'm going to balance all of my polyions first. So on the left side, I have 3 nitrates right here. That means that on the right side, I'm going to need 3 nitrates. Now, I cannot put a number right here. I'm not allowed to change the subscripts. I can only put a number in the front. And it's totally okay if you mess up another element. If you mess up another element's count, it's okay. You'll be able to fix it. So I'm going to stick a big 3 right here because I have 3 nitrates on the left. I need 3 nitrates on the right. So I'll fix my nitrates. Now I'm going to go back and look at my hydroxides. I have 3 hydroxides on the right. However, on the left, I only have 1. Well, I need 3. So I'm going to stick a 3 in the front. When I multiply this out, right, this is telling me I have 3 sodiums, 3 oxygens, and 3 hydrogens. So I've balanced both my polyions on both sides. Your next step is to balance the metals. Right? Now by the metals, I mean the element that goes with your polyions, you need to check those. So let's check those. On the left, I have aluminum, and there's only 1. On the right, I have aluminum, and there's only 1. Remember, this 3 outside of the parentheses only goes with what's in the parentheses. He doesn't go with aluminum. So right here, aluminum subscript is 1, right? We just haven't shown it. We don't show 1s. So I have 1 and 1. Then I'm going to check my sodiums. On the left, I had to fix hydroxide, and I got 3 sodiums. On the right, I had to fix nitrate, and I ended up with 3 sodiums. So my balancing happened while I was fixing something else, and that happens a lot. So let's just go through and check yourself from left to right. I literally put my fingers on the elements that I'm balancing just to make sure they're good. So on the left, I have 1 aluminum, 1 aluminum. 3 nitrates, 3 nitrates. 3 sodiums, 3 sodiums, 3 hydroxides, 3 hydroxides, which means I'm balanced. Okay?